Okay, hi, my name is Dale Heminger, Hemdale Farms and Greenhouses. We're here in central western New York in Seneca Castle, New York.
The biggest thing we were faced with was our parlor was 45 years old and needed to be torn down. So we were at the point where it was build a parlor or install robots.
So as I looked at all that, I was at 550 cows, shipping 13 million pounds of milk out of that little parlor. I had to do something. And I really struggled with that. I struggled with the fact that our industry had gotten so dependent on this very hard-working, wonderful labor force we've had, but also worried about if that was sustainable and with time, whether or not we were looking forward enough. One of the things that really impressed me with the original Lely company was that they always wanted to get it right first. They never pressured me when they knew I was a little bit uncertain of what I was doing. They left me alone for a year or two. And then when they saw that I was asking the right questions and whatnot, they said, well, let's make a trip to Europe, because you had to go to Europe to see any amount of A3s running, and have been very, very congenial. And it's a pleasure to have worked with a company that really wants to just see the best thing come out of it for all parties involved.
And since we put robots in 2007 and went 100% in 2009, everything has sort of come together that we're ready to really push forward and try and maximize all of our efficiencies.
I went into this knowing my cost to harvest milk was going to be maybe a little higher at first, but looking forward, I really felt that this was a much more sustainable model and much more the direction I wanted to go, the way we wanted to manage our farm. And with us increasing to now 17 and now 19 robots, we continue to drive our labor efficiency every year. Even now that we're mature again, we're driving about 5% more labor efficiency per 100 pounds of milk each year the last few years.
So the big startup for me was in 2009 when we transitioned the rest of the herd from the parlor to the robots. And we were lucky that we had to retrofit our 6-row barn during that process. So we didn't just have 8 new robots online. We started with four new ones online, and then over about a 3-month period, we got the other 4 up and running.
Training 30 or 50 cows on the robots and spending a couple days getting them acclimated was critical. Because just like if you move cows into a parallel that I've helped do, and I've heard about, and my son has done, helping moving cows onto a rotary, the first few days are hard. So you get that critical group of cows trained on robots, and then you add cows incrementally, and as your people and cow situation evolves, the thing kind of flows on its own and really becomes a very productive unit.
And we all had time as a staff. You know, my team had time to adjust, and they can see the new barn going in, they can see the stalls being delivered, they can see the headlots being put in. So you know that day is getting closer.
We go from having cows in a parlor barn that you're managing them every 8 hours to a robot barn where it's the cow's world. We wish 3 times a week we move a third of them to bed. And other than that, this is their world. The cows are so happy and friendly, they actually follow us around. And we had a friendly herd before, but everyone that's in a robot farm says they see friendlier cows. And my nutritionist at the time I put in the robots wasn't real keen on the idea. 2 or 3 months into it, he saw our body condition improve with our feed costs staying the same. And he was convinced it was less stress from being walked to a holding area and held in the holding area.
As we continue to expand, we're looking at the cow first. We try and maximize efficiencies for the cow when people are handling them, and along with that, our cow health and cow comfort. So as we're building the barns, we're making the stalls wider. These are 50-inch stalls for all of our older cows that are getting bigger in lactation. These are the mattresses that'll get filled with water that they'll lay on and be nice and comfortable every day. We decided to start cutting the floors. This gives us a lot better traction for the cows, better feet and legs, and we're actually seeing a lot more heat detection and things like that from cutting the floors. And lastly, we have rubber that'll be going in here shortly. When the cows are standing eating, they'll be standing on that rubber, keeping their legs more comfortable so that they'll come to the bunks more.
My day basically starts in the office looking at the reports on T4C. The first one on the cow level I'm looking at is the heat report, the activity report. And we do have activity tags with the rumination collars, so that information is real valuable to me. The activity by itself would be great, but having that rumination with it and seeing that rumination drop off as the activity goes up, I'm going to be pretty confident before I go out in the barn that I know what cows are at heat. The second report we look at would be the mastitis report and milk deviation. It's kind of a combined report for us. So there's reports on the cow side that we talked about, and then on the robot side, I look at the indications report every day and the failures. That failure report tells me if it's a robot problem or a cow problem that's causing those failures, and we know what we have to react to. And actually for me, I live 20 minutes away from the farm, so it's kind of nice if I get a call in the middle of the night that the guy's having a problem, I can get online and take a look and see what that problem is before I come over here. And if I already know it's not something I can fix, I can just call the technician in and have him at the farm before I could get here anyways and take a look at it.
Going into this, one of my biggest concerns was what my maintenance costs would be, particularly after 3 or 5 years when the warranties ratchet down depending on what components they are. I've been very pleased. My first 4 robots will be 8 years old in a few months, and we've been very, very pleased that our maintenance costs have stayed quite flat, and feel very, very good about that. And we look at those 8-year-old robots and think, we don't see hardly any serious wear and tear at all. Are there parts that have to be changed out? Absolutely, but it's pretty much predictable and stuff we just stock and do a lot of those things ourselves.
So the staff in the barn would tell you that it takes a little smarter person to work here than it might in a parlor herd. And I don't think it's a big deal, but you do need people that can kind of think ahead with their day. And I don't generally just say this is how it is. I need these guys to be a team here, and that's how we approach things. If there's a change coming up, I try to tell them about it ahead of time and tell them, a month from now, we need to have some of these things figured out. And I'll have a plan, but I get input from them if there's a big change. So today our cows are averaging 85 to 86 pounds per cow per day. Butter fat's a 3.5, 3.6, and protein is a 3.1.
I've learned in my career that anytime you can take labor away, there's some intrinsic value that the whole farm runs better, and we've all enjoyed our careers more since switching to Lely than we did when we had more employees before.
So we had the infrastructure in place already, so we're trying to capitalize more efficiency by growing in numbers. Our total operational expenses have gone down on a cost per hundredweight basis. So as we grow, we're getting more and more efficient in all areas of the business.
I really am enjoying this part of my career where we can incrementally just add cows and robots and plug everything back into what we've already got here and see us drive costs out of our overall operation.